My name is Mark Trowbridge. I'm the President and CEO of the Coral Gables Chamber of Commerce. My role is as the day-to-day executive is to work closely with our board of directors and our volunteer corps to set the course for our chamber and for the activities and goals of our members. I also would add to that that I think part of my responsibility day to day is to work to increase and improve our business climate, not only in Coral Gables, but here in greater South Florida. So our membership now is 1,600 members. I would tell you that the answer is an emphatic yes. We certainly have plans to not only continue to grow, but to really deepen and strengthen the relationship that we have with our members. If you look at just Coral Gables, we probably have close to 7,000 businesses that are located here. So, we haven't touched, the entire cadre of those folks. And a good number of our members are obviously outside the Gables. So we are absolutely poised to continue to grow, and that's one of our strategic initiatives in our new strategic plan. So I came to the Chamber in late 2006. We were certainly experiencing a pretty positive economic high. We saw an immediate bump in our membership. I think a lot of that had to do with new energy, new enthusiasm, and a realization that, the Chamber had some, new leadership that was going to be very focused on what the members' needs specifically were. And in very short order, within the next, 36 months, we were watching many of our long-standing members and relationships close their doors, consolidate, move out of Miami-Dade. People that we worked closely with were losing their jobs and out on a very fragile job market. I think our goal was to take full advantage of the resources that we had as a chamber and the relationships that we had to help those folks. We had never been engaged before that with helping our members who might have separated from a company find work, and so we'd never had a job board, things like that. So it may seem a little bit rudimentary, but we got back to a very basic role, which is now more than ever, this is when you need your local chamber. You need to build on whatever relationships you can and solidify the ones that you have had. I think if we would do anything different, it would be that we might deploy our leadership more into that role. I think the problem was that so many of our board were also in somewhat perilous positions. We had a number of board members who had to step away from that relationship with us because they had separated from their jobs. So it was a long slog, and when you look at our membership profile at that time, tremendous amount of banks, real estate, two industries hit very, very hard. So I think two things. First, I represent not only our chamber, but I think a coalition of chambers. As chair of that group, there are probably about 12 to 15 active chambers within that group. And so I feel like part of my role is to be a voice for them, even though they're not at the board level. And then I think secondly, the Beacon Council's mission is very focused on a number of initiatives, but specifically in bringing new product here, bringing new businesses here, growing those that are here and retaining those. I think we play a very grassroots level role in that. So I always told our friends there, whether they were bringing an international business or bringing a domestic business, we would take that handoff from them in the hopes that we could then help that company to really develop roots here. So Beacon is tremendous in their role of identifying those companies, but when they bring them here, we take the handoff and we make them feel at home. So I believe that, the biggest change has probably been that we have continued to see, tremendous growth in various sectors. We see a lot more, companies working in the tech space, cybersecurity space. We had always been a community where it was hard to get startups to move into. It was a high hurdle for them to move in and find, agreeable and amenable rents. But with the addition of co-working spaces, even most recently places like Pipeline and WeWork, I think we've been able to lower that threshold. That has done two things. It has lowered sort of the average age of the employee here, which is part of that future direction that I think we're in. And then I think secondly is we have worked very hard as a chamber to strengthen our relationship with our city officials, elected and city department heads. There wasn't a relationship there as strong as it is today in 2006, and so that takes a lot of work. We've been through a number of iterations of our city commission, a number of city managers, but our goal each time is to come in, offer our support, and talk about how we can be a real asset to the city. I think they see us as a resource as much as an ally.
What is your relationship with Coral Gables Mayor Raul Valdez-Fowley and the rest of city government like?
Sure. You know, I didn't work with the mayor during his first terms in office. When I came to the chamber, Mayor Slesnik was our mayor. And so I knew, obviously, who Mayor Valdez-Fowley was. I had periodic interactions with him in his role at that time being back in private practice. And he was also very active still in the community. I would tell you it's been wonderful to work with him. And I think in his second go-around, as I call it, he has focused on a number of other initiatives. He's working, as we are, on supporting the efforts of co-working space like a WeWork. He sees the advantage of that. He picks up the phone and calls us, and he will tell us that it's wonderful to be able to pick up that phone and call your local chamber, whereas maybe he didn't have the same relationship when he was mayor the first time around. Very proud of that, and I'm very grateful to him to continue that good relationship we've had with both Mayor Slesnik and Mayor Kaysen, who was between the two. The goal of that project was to be done in, a 20-month period. We got close to that. The challenge is that the periodic disruption that took place during the construction was more intense than predicted. And so, the chamber did a couple of things. I think one, we were ever present on Miracle Mile and Giralda during that entire build-out. Secondly, we waived a membership fee for anybody who was a current member for a full year. And then anybody who wasn't, we offered them an opportunity to become a member for $100. So it may seem, sort of a rudimentary response, but it was our way of letting them know we are absolutely tuned in and paying attention. We've obviously come out of that project with a lot of excitement. I think people see the street, they love it. But we came out of it in a time when the summer doldrums kind of come in. People are not, sitting out in the beautiful sidewalks. That will come back in September and October. But, timing is always a bit of a challenge. I think the great news is that the merchants have really coalesced together. If you look at the Giralda merchants, they are absolutely working well together. It isn't about competition, but how do we help each other? Because if somebody comes here, maybe doesn't have a plan, at least they've come to Giralda Plaza to dine. And I think we'll continue to see that. That's a role that the city has to play, the chamber has to play, our merchant association, the business improvement district has to play. And so we work together and have been for the last 2.5 years specifically on this project. But a work in progress and one that takes everybody working in concert.